Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tim Portz. I'm the program developer here at BBI International. Welcome to a short webinar to talk about the agenda building process at the 2019 International Biomass Conference and Expo. This is the International Biomass Conference and Expo's 12th year, and we're excited to be taking the event to Savannah, Georgia, an important hub connecting the producers of wood pellets in the American Southeast with customers all around the globe. We're really looking forward to taking the event there. The event this year is earlier, March 18th to 20th. April was getting a little bit crowded in terms of a biomass conference perspective globally. And hearing our customers and speakers and attendees, we chose to move the show up in the calendar. So this year, March 18th to 20th, that's an important note. I'm joined today by John Nelson, Marketing and Sales Director at BBI International, and our aim today is to share with you in a very short amount of time some of the highlights of this year's agenda, how to position yourself as a professional in the biomass community in the best possible light to join our agenda, the process we use to build that agenda, the various tracks that we have, and we've also got a couple of programmatic notes on the content that has already been secured for this wonderful event. So thanks everybody for being here. I just want to walk very quickly through the agenda for today's call. Obviously, it's important that we share some deadlines with our speaking community. We've got an abstract submission deadline within the next 10 business days or so, so I definitely want to get to that. As I mentioned, we want to talk about how our conference is organized from a programs track standpoint. This is the same format that we've unrolled and have been working with and operating for about the last 8 years, so we really feel like we've settled into a logical, sensible approach to organizing this conference. Want to talk about a co-located event that we're bringing back for the third year in a row due to popular demand, and then I will be turning the call back over to John so that he can share with you what we know about the audience that makes the International Biomass Conference and Expo such an important part of their professional year. So, as I mentioned, there is a deadline approaching for speaker abstracts and presentation ideas, and that is next Friday, November 16th. Again, want to mark that down, November 16th. By virtue of moving the conference forward in the calendar 1 month, really all the deadlines sort of followed suit, and so last year we were accepting abstracts into December, and of course this year won't be possible to do that. We'll be closing the abstract portal on November 16th. So if you're on the call as a potential speaker, please note that date. Our early bird deadline then picks up in February 6th. We'll be accepting nominations for our industry awards to February 8th, and then exhibitors and sponsors have until Valentine's Day to make their decisions so that they can be included in both the program guide and on-site signage, and both of those are important platforms to get your brand in front of the International Biomass Conference and Expo audience. So let's talk just a little bit about how the conference is organized. We've got 4 different tracks. The first of those is Pellets and Densified Biomass. So again, we're really excited to be in the American Southeast. So much pellet production, industrial scale pellet production, the larger pellet operators that are using softwood to make pellets for the industrial markets in Europe and increasingly Asia. We fully expect that the fast and quickly growing markets for wood pellets in Japan specifically will definitely be a talker this year. In track 1, we're looking for abstracts and presentation ideas, and you can read the list as well, but procurement of feedstock, moving biomass from the field to your facilities is becoming an increasingly important topic with e-logs, the advent of e-logs. I'm hearing from a lot of producers that both inbound material procurement and finished product delivery has become more challenging with the advent of e-logs, and we're a little tight on our inventory of truckers across the United States. Certainly that's having an impact. And if you're sitting there and have strategies and know how to help people with those problems, that should be music to your ears, because we're definitely looking for presentations on that. Always have a strong panel on pellet mill design. Certainly welcome any wrinkles in that process that you feel like you can introduce to engineers and even existing operators. Very definitely is the right place for this track, is the right place for those types of topics. Market analysis and forecast. I opened my remarks talking a little bit about Japan. I fully expect that we'll have at least a panel on the Asian marketplace, what's happening there, how North American producers are faring, and more specifically, how American producers are faring as compared to their Canadian counterparts. We've got this year saw the advent, our first purchase of a interest in a pellet facility by a Canadian producer here in the United States. I think that will probably be topics of conversation. So we welcome all of those and more, all of those types of ideas and more to the Track 1 Pellets and Densified Biomass. Track 2, Biomass, Power, and Thermal. And this is probably our most diverse track just because of the breadth that we cover here. So Biomass, Power, and Thermal, our Biomass, Power, and Thermal track really does have presentations that run the gamut from small-scale thermal installations, maybe a rural school district in the Northeast, or hospitals, or an institutional placement for a biomass boiler, or a small district heating solution, all the way up to a standalone biomass power installation that maybe just making completely grid-devoted electricity. So really a very wide range here. And again, I want to direct you to the possible topics listed there below our Biomass, Power, and Thermal banner. I mentioned biomass heat in rural areas. I think that's going to continue to be a strong topic for us. Strategic partnerships is always kind of interesting, particularly in small-scale thermal. How those particular projects come to be are always great things. Case studies. Our audience craves case studies in this track. Talk to me, walk me through the process of, when we decided that there was a new solution needed. Walk me through the financial discovery that went on. What are the assets that potentially are right there kind of on site or near the site that led to the development of the biomass project? Those are the kinds of details that the engineers, the economic developers, the project developers who are going to be in the track room are just hungry to hear. So if you're sitting on some of those, we'd love to see those abstracts for the International Biomass Conference. Track 3 is our biogas and waste to energy track. I expect this to be a very strong track this year because of the prevalence of waste to energy facilities in the Southeast, particularly Florida, certainly. And biogas is hot. We're not that far from the Carolinas. A lot of swine waste to biogas development happening there. Again, this track really focuses on these found feedstock streams that can be harnessed to produce more energy via anaerobic digestion or, yes, combustion and gasification. So presentation ideas and abstracts that really hone in and focus on conversion strategies, digester design, separating out the organic fraction of municipal solid waste. Last year, one of my very favorite presentations of the entire conference was in this particular track, and it was a facility in Canada that was a facility whereupon livestock that had been found, that mortalities in livestock need to be destroyed to control certain bovine diseases that are prevalent out there, and they built a component of that facility that would also do some anaerobic digestion. It was a really riveting and very interesting presentation. So presentations that really talk about the combination of offerings to the community and the project developer that really make the finances work out are always very, very strong and get a lot of positive feedback and a lot of follow-up questions from the audience. So again, looking forward to this track and fully expect that it's going to do quite well considering the venue this year. The final track here is advanced biofuels and bio-based chemicals. Always very excited to have this type of content at the International Biomass Conference and Expo. And really, I think, talks a lot about the overall breadth of this conference, whereas in one room you might have a conversation or a presentation from someone talking about making a platform chemical or a biobutanol from a very different feedstock, and then two rooms over you're hearing a presentation on the Asian marketplace for industrial wood pellets, and then those people mingle in the networking time in between. So again, strategic partnerships, conversion pathways, whether they're thermochemical or biological. What about dedicated energy crops, right? What are the inputs that are going into these facilities that are making these advanced biofuels and bio-based chemicals? Always have some sort of market discussion, right? The new announcement about E15 being sold year-round, very definitely the folks that are making advanced ethanols are welcoming that and thinking that that's going to spur sort of a whole new period of exciting growth in the sector. So I fully expect to hear some of those conversations and a renewed interest again in advanced ethanols and advanced biofuels. I'd like to talk also about our preparation, handling, and storage workshop, biomass preparation, handling, and storage workshop. This will be our third year of having this pre-conference. This is always a pre-conference that attracts folks who already operate facilities that handle large volumes of biomass. If you're in this business and you've been in this business for more than even a couple of months, you understand that the name of the game is it's a volume game, bringing a large volume of biomass inputs into a facility, adding some value to it, either by densification or combustion, somehow making that into an energy product that's got some more value, and then moving that biomass out. And the operators that understand how to do it and do it well typically do the best financially, and those that can't figure this out continue to struggle. Biomass facilities really rise and fall on the ability of the operators at that location to, again, handle biomass effectively. So if you're interested in presenting on this, please be sure and submit an abstract in the subject line. Make a note that, hey, I'd like this considered for the pre-conference. Somewhere in the body of the abstract, raise your hand, and we're looking for folks that do, storage solutions, whether it's covered or a bunker, or and then what about conveyance systems, right? A lot of our biggest sponsors and folks that are most excited about our event have state-of-the-art conveyance solutions, and this is a very competitive field, and new products are always emerging. I know that there's new products that have just come onto the market in the last couple of years, some interesting partnerships that have come together. So very much looking forward to putting this agenda together. If you have solutions in this space, please know that we are planning the Biomass Preparation, Handling, and Storage Workshop, and that'll be the Monday preceding the main event on March 18th, and should be well attended. Looking forward to that. Very excited also to share that we have already procured or finalized an industry tour. We're still looking for more opportunities to show our attendees other facilities in the area, but for the most part, all during conference week, this particular facility, the Savannah Pellet facility owned by Peoples Industries, they call it the East Coast Terminal, will be on. You'll be able to see it from the conference location. On Thursday, we will be taking a group of folks to this facility to see it in a more up close and personal manner. And this is one of the largest pellet export terminals on the East Coast. Very important piece of infrastructure that really does, again, connect those larger facilities in the Georgia area with waiting global markets. So it's one of the first times we've been able to announce an industry tour this far in advance of the event. And again, I welcome everybody to keep an eye on biomassconference.com for more tour announcements. So if you're on the phone thinking of making the trip, know that the industry tour is available for registrations already, and encourage people to take advantage of that. Want to talk just a little bit also about producers. And I think if someone said, hey, number one reason that a professional in the biomass industry should select a BBI International event over a competing biomass event, I would say without a doubt that is our subsidization of producer registrations is the number one reason. So let me sort of unpack that a little bit for you. It's been our tradition at BBI International to grant free registrations to those who work in operating pellet, biogas, biomass power, biomass thermal, advanced biofuel, and biochemical facilities, complimentary registrations to our event, and producers take us up on it. So this is an important piece of what our conference brings to those folks that support it with sponsorships, with the exhibit spaces, and also, of course, as speakers. These gentlemen here are an African contingent. I think that they were from a representative, either a prospective biomass power facility or an existing one. But again, lots of producers at our event. I know John is going to talk some more about that. And I'm going to hand the call over to John at this time. Go ahead, John. Talk to some more about our producer strategy here.
Excellent. Thanks, Tim. Again, appreciate all the comprehensive insight you're giving to the folks on this call. Looking to speak, they're really getting an idea of what you're looking for and what the committee is looking for when you're choosing, the speaker lineup and working with that program committee. So again, appreciate all the insight that you're giving on this particular webinar. Again, a couple of things I do want to stress when we're talking about that. The deadline again for that is November 16th. So if you're looking to submit that abstract in one of the tracks or one of the pre-cons that Tim has talked about and discussed, the deadline is November 16th. And again, you can go on to the website. The way to do that is you can go onto the website and you can go to agenda and you can submit your speaker idea on the drop down there, and it'll give you instructions, and you can reach out to Tim as well. So that's really what you want to be looking for when submitting those abstracts. So again, thank you, Tim, for all your valuable knowledge and breaking that down. Again, when we're talking about producers, we are now in our 12th year, and we've worked hard on trying to in getting producers there. We offer free passes. We make sure we're sending messages out to them talking about, hey, this is where the latest technology and services are to help you become more efficient. So over 12 years, we've now built our audience up to over 200 producers in the biomass power and heat, pellets, biogas, advanced biofuels, and bio-based chemicals industries. And you can see kind of a breakdown here on this slide that a quarter of our attendees are those future producers or existing producers. So again, we really strive to on that, and that's who we want to make sure you're speaking to as a speaker, as an exhibitor, as an attendee. We want to make sure you're connecting with those producers who are looking for the latest technologies that hopefully you can provide for them. A little breakdown here on who attends. Again, a quarter are producers. We also see a large chunk of attendees, speakers, exhibitors. But when you really look down at the industries that are involved, you're looking at those technology and service and equipment providers. As Tim mentioned, we have a lot of interest in these sectors. So it's enough where we've even created a pre-conference. So when we're doing, for example, material handling, our biomass preparation, handling, and storage workshop came out of this. We had so much interest that we said, hey, we've got to make a pre-conference about this. We're also looking at possibly adding another event with that, as Tim kind of alluded to, but we also have, during that time, we do have the ability for you to become an exhibitor at our pre-conference as well. And I know those who do have an outstanding time connecting with those people. It's very productive for them to connect with the people who are attending that pre-conference. So something you might want to look at and talk to one of our account managers about, and even you can find it on our website as well at biomassconference.com. You can find more information about exhibiting at the pre-conference. Again, when we look at this event, it is an international event. 90% are from North America. However, you can really see that it breaks down. We have people from Asia, Europe, Africa, South America, almost every continent just about attend this event. 31 countries. It blows my mind every time I see this, but 31 countries, as you can see here, we have people representing these countries attending our event, talking about their technologies with producers and producers and people looking for help in their countries as well. So it's a great place to network on an international level. We also have people representing, attending and representing 47 U.S. states and 7 Canadian provinces. Couple other things that, when we go back, and as Tim mentioned, we talk to our audience. We talk to you, the attendee, and we say, and we survey you, and we say, we want to know exactly what do you want? What are you thinking? Where do you want to be? And so a lot of this, the stats you see here, and the numbers, and the quotes, and the testimonials, that's coming from us reaching out to you, the attendees, and saying, how's it going for you? Who do you want to see? What's working? What's not? Where do you want to be? And so you can see out of the attendees, 94% of them have made valuable contacts. 98% rated the program positive overall, and 95% would recommend this conference. And as an exhibitor, you can see 89% are rating the quality of attendees. They're happy with the people they're getting in front of. And 97% have made valuable contacts. And again, that's something we strive for, whether it's the venue, whether it's getting you connected with the right audience. That is our number one goal at this event.
The other thing, John, I just want to piggyback on that a little bit, and we're a little bit reluctant to sort of wave our own flag, but I'm struck by the number of comments that talk about the staff and how the high production value of the event. That's probably worth repeating. And I know that everyone on the phone, if you've had a speaker experience at even more than 1 or 2 conferences, you know that the range of speaker support can be pretty broad. We really try and create an event that has high production value because we recognize that you're spending your time, your travel dollars to get to our event, and we want you to be able to focus 100% on really 2 things. Number one, nailing that presentation and giving great content, and then being able to benefit from establishing yourself as an expert at our event by maximizing your experience while on site for follow-up networking, follow-up inquiries, right? And you don't have to worry about, do you have my slides? Will the slide transitions in the breakout room be taken care of? Will I have some place to put my bag because I got to catch a flight almost immediately after giving my presentation? We know that these are realities of the lives of our speakers, and we just work really, really hard to make sure that when you're on site, know that there's going to be no surprises and you can focus 100% on your presentation. So I just wanted to get that in. Thanks, John.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And one of the things that we don't have listed here is we reach out to you as a speaker, because everyone on here, we're hoping you're selected. But at the end of the conference, we will reach out to you as a speaker and ask, how did it go for you? How was the event? How was your setup? How was getting loaded? As Tim said, getting your presentation taken care of, getting, that whole process. There are a lot of steps, and we do strive on it, and we almost take it for granted on how well the team, Tim and his team have done it over the years. But it is a smooth process, and we make sure that you have everything you need and all your questions are answered. So when you go up to present, you are ready to give the best presentation you can to our audience. So again, yeah, I agree 100%, Tim, and I appreciate you reiterating.
Absolutely.
couple other things, just to kind of give you an idea of who is there. When you're speaking, these are some of the exhibitors that are there, some of the sponsors. You can see there are a lot of media partners. So we do get a lot of media partners attending this. So when you're speaking, they're there in attendance, and you have the possibility of getting picked up. Obviously, this event is a BBI event, and it's produced by Biomass Magazine and Pellet Mill Magazine, and we'll be there. But there are other publications in attendance, and hopefully they'll connect with you as well, and you'll get some added exposure on the media side and be broadcasted from that standpoint. But again, when we're looking at some of the other sponsors and supporting organizations, that's who is there, and that's who the big players are. Obviously, we have hundreds of exhibitors as well, but these are the big players from a sponsor, supporting org, and media partner standpoint. And one last thing I do want to mention is we are in Savannah this year, and that kind of came out of our surveys, and people wanted to be in Savannah. And we do have limited availability at the Westin in Savannah in our room block. So if you are looking at staying there, getting your hotel, you'll want to check out the Westin Savannah Harbor Golf Resort and Spa. Again, it's on our website, so I'm directing everyone back to biomassconference.com where you can see our accommodations. But you'll want to make sure you're staying at the Westin. You'll be connected right with the conference itself, and so be sure to take a look at that. One last thing I do want to mention as well. Going back to Tim's tour, seating for that is limited. So if you are interested in being on that tour, it's something you're going to want to register for as soon as possible. And these things are all limited. Hotels, tours. So again, the earlier you register, the better off you'll be. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Tim. And thanks everyone for being on today's call.
Thanks a lot, John. I've got a couple of thoughts that I wanted to clarify and make sure that I reiterate. In terms of, if you've never ever submitted a presentation abstract for a BBI International event and are wondering how the decisions are made as to who gets on the agenda, all of those ideas and concepts are fully articulated at biomassconference.com. Again, John directed you to the agenda tab and scroll down. Submit presentation ideas is where you want to go. We're really looking for 4 things, and we ask for these, and moreover, we ask our industry abstract raters. Yes, other members of the industry will be looking at your abstracts. It's not just a BBI team thing. We're looking for detail, right? We need to see detail in the abstract. How are you going to tell the story? It doesn't have to be a full explanation or even a rundown of a slide-by-slide, but one of my very favorite things to read in an abstract is the project was thoroughly documented with photographs, and a strong bank of project photographs will be included in the presentation. That's worth a lot of points to me right there. Relevance. Tie your presentation to a specific problem that producers have. I can't tell you how many abstracts I've read that sounds like a wonderful solution, but the problem is never fully articulated, which makes it tough to place that abstract. Do I place this abstract in an emissions control panel, or is this more of a inbound material handling challenge? And that's an oversimplification, but you understand. So specificity, relevance, detail, and understandability. And this is a tough one. This is a generalized audience. This is not an academic conference but with biochemists, right? So this is a generalized audience, which isn't to say that we can't cover very detailed and specific and, sort of high-level thinking about certain ideas. I don't mean to say that at all, but make it clear that there will be a runway for more of a general audience member to the content in your presentation. If you've got very sort of high level thinking, how can you break that down? And again, there may be some content in your presentation that only a select few people in the audience can understand or it's intended for, but can you bring that general attendee along? So those are the 4 things that we're looking for. And again, just detail, photographs, schematics, project timelines. If your product or service makes a financial impact on the lives of producers and you've seen that in the field, share that with our audience. Those types of things are solid gold. The last thing I want to clarify, John mentioned it, I missed this in my opening remarks. We do have one pre-conference scheduled. We are always on the lookout for other pre-conferences that may emerge, and I'll point to last year's event as my case in point. Last year, we received an incredible amount of content around the subject of biochar and torrefaction resulting in biochar. So much so that it was clear that one standalone panel would not really fully leverage all of that material. Now, we did not anticipate that there would be a biochar pre-conference. We did not know that there would be so much interest in biochar and torrefaction in the lead up to the conference. When the abstracts were tabulated and brought in, that particular piece of programming sort of emerged from what we received. And we are always on the lookout for those trending content platforms and content buckets that we can pull together and provide for our audience. If you're on the phone today and have stuck around this long, you are entitled to 10% off a full conference registration. Call the number listed here, 866-746-8385, and mention the IBCE Save 10, and we'll get you taken care of. That discount expires on the first day of the year 2019, and this is for new full conference registrations only. Before I let you go this afternoon, I do want to thank you for being here and taking the time. We do have some upcoming events. If you're on the phone and are interested in distributed power generation from biomass in North America, Turbident is sponsoring a webinar on the 29th of November, 10:30 Central Standard Time. Because of their sponsorship, of course, that webinar is free, and of course, the next upcoming events after that will find us all together, hopefully in Savannah, Georgia, March 18th through the 21st, if you stick around for the tour. In June, we take the world's largest fuel ethanol conference to Indianapolis, Indiana, June 10th through the 12th. We're in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm Tim Portz, Program Director here at BBI International. I want to thank my colleague John Nelson and all of you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing your abstracts. November 16th is the deadline for those abstracts. Thanks for taking the time to hear about our event. We're really excited to take it to Savannah, and we, of course, hope to see you there. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.